What else could thrill you than getting to know that you can now have an air conditioner capable of being powered by even the small capacity electricity generator, popularly known as I Better Pass My Neighbor? Well, this being made possible by electronic giant LG with the introduction of its latest innovative residential air conditioning technology, LG GenCool Inverter V. The product was launched at the LG showroom in Lekki, Lagos.
Like the conventional air conditioner, which requires a big-sized generator to function in the absence of public power supply, equipped with a range of advanced air conditioning technologies and durability-enhancing features, the new model boasts of superior reliability, functionality, and operational longevity.
But our inverter technology is one that is responsible for allowing this AC to consume less amounts of power for operation.
People who have 20 air conditioners or 30 air conditioners in their buildings, now they don't need to use like very huge generators like 500 kVA or whatsoever. They can go up to like 60% of that capacity.
This GenCool, the room air conditioner is developed how the room air conditioner can work under the low voltage. So eventually we developed, and today we launch it in Nigerian market as a first.
For the normal mode, 1 horsepower AC needs 1.5 kVA generator, while 1.5 horsepower requires a 1.7 kVA and 2 horsepower needs 2.2 kVA generator. But in the case of Gen mode, the power performance goes down by around 30%.
So if you have a 0.9 kVA at home, which is the minimum capacity that can run this Gen AC, yes, you can run that GenCool AC by itself. But if you have a bigger capacity like a 1.5 kVA generator as well, yes, you can run the 0.9, you can use your 0.9 power on the GenCool AC and not use the remaining power on your light features, on your appliances, and on your TV as well.
Obviously, this air conditioner is around 25 to 30% more expensive than the normal one. However, the money you are going to save on the fuel consumption and the money you are going to save on the initial purchase of generator is far less than this additional cost.
With the launch of the new LG GenCool Inverter V, LG Electronics says it has once more indicated its commitment to continually develop efficient, effective, and highly durable air conditioning solutions tailored to meet the needs of consumers in Nigeria.
Well, at our business stories, reactions have continued to trail the recent direction by the Central Bank of Nigeria for the Bureau de Change operators to shore up their capital base. While some see this move as a welcome development, others think it will send most BDC operators out of business. However, the Central Bank says the reason for the new guidelines for BDC operators is to correct some of the anomalies in the operation. The coming report looks at some of the issues regarding this directive.
In what may be described as a first step by Godwin Emefiele as the central bank governor towards sanitizing the foreign exchange market, the CBN on Monday this week rolled out a new set of guidelines for BDC operation in Nigeria. First, they are to shore up the capital base to 35 million naira from 10 million naira with the mandatory cautionary deposits to be put in a non-interest yielding account in the CBN. Again, the licensing of BDCs will henceforth attract application fees of 100,000 naira, licensing fee of 1 million naira, and annual renewal fee of 250,000 naira. The new guideline also forbids ownership of multiple BDCs and stipulates stiff penalties to violators when detected.
You cannot be doing business in concert. if we are not well capitalized and you just want to have a quantum of money from other aspects of this, some of them will be tempted to mismanage such fund. If you must carry a huge fund, you must have a huge capital base. Your capital base, if not too much, it must come to an average. When they look at you and say, this is the business we are doing, you should also be having money yourself.
The reasons, according to the central bank, for this guideline is simply this: that out of the 120 BDCs sampled based on volume of purchase from banks, 101 of them, representing 84%, are in breach of the objectives and provisions of the guidelines. Majority of them could not be located. Majority had no accounting records. Majority of them relocated without approval, and majority had no sales documents. Despite these reasons, the decision to review the guideline generated mixed feelings among members of the House of Representatives.
For us to get up in the morning and announce that a capital minimum base, which hitherto used to be 10 million, has by part been increased to 35 million, for me, speaks volume.
We have a new CBN governor who is trying to bring about change in the system. He has brought up policies that he thinks can at least strengthen the Naira. There is need to give him a chance.
Every person must not own a BDC, but groups of people can come together. After all, it should be limited liability companies. And when you cannot afford 35 million share capital, you can do that together, working with other people.
The Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 17 of 1995 and the BOFI Act of 1991 vests in the Central Bank of Nigeria the power to license and regulate bureau de change operations in Nigeria. In the meantime, the central bank governor is expected to appear before the House to explain the reason for the new move.
Well, to throw some light on this issue, I've now been joined by Dr. Boniface Chizia. He's an economist. Good to have you join us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Suleiman.
Well, looking at this guideline, do you think it's a tall task?
Well, I think that we should take a step back and say to ourselves, why? I've listened to some people comment, and I think that I've not seen the right reasons, why this should be happening. Now, the thing is that, this governor has come on board. And one of the things he inherited is the fact that we enjoy stability at the foreign exchange market. And so that's a challenge for him to try and maintain this stability. And if you look at the reserves we have, accretion to reserves is problematic in the sense that you have 90% of accretion to reserve coming from the oil market. And so you have vandalism, you have illegal bunkering, and you have some issues. So this accretion is not coming there. And he said to us that he's not going to devalue the currency. Not that devaluation is the way to go, because if you look at the history of the management of foreign exchange in this country, and you say to yourself, the values have always gone down, and it has not impacted on the demand for foreign exchange. And so to a large extent, the demand for foreign exchange in this economy is not price elastic. And so he comes in and says, okay, I have the challenge, I have to try and sustain this stability at the rate of exchange, which people have enjoyed and they want to see continued. And then so he looks at the market and says, look, where are the low-hanging fruits? What are the things that I needed to do? And below the change, came under focus. And we discovered that the drain, which below the change represents, to the treasury reserves, is enormous. A situation whereby you're spending $6 billion, $8 billion, 11 at some point in time, as at today, $8.5 billion a year.
Now you're talking about this figure now. Perhaps some say the objective of setting up Bureau de Change is to help provide access to foreign exchange, especially to small-scale end users. Do you think that they have been able to meet that objective so far?
Well, I think that to some extent they were able to do that, but also in the process, there are all sorts of malpractices came on board. Essentially, yes, that was why. But then, of course, things have moved on. In the sense that if you now look at the environment, and you look at the various platforms, for transferring their money overseas, sending money, taking money out of this country, So we've gone online and so on and so forth. So yes, okay, really changed. It's there to people who are in need of small currencies. They want to, amount of currency they want to take outside this country. Yes, they are there to provide such services. But then the thing is that they've not gone beyond what they've been asked to do, and instead of bringing a solution, to our problem, they've not added, to our problem, and that's why the governor has decided to come out and then take the steps here.
But the House of Representatives, Serge Botchin, has stepped in, and they say this guideline is ill-timed.
Well, the problem with the House is that I think that the House has an important job to do, but I think that also people have been appointed into positions, and they should be allowed to discharge their responsibilities. You don't put somebody in a position, put somebody in the boxing ring and tie his hands to the back and say you should go and box. And so the governor, one of the things we talked about central bank is that central bank should have instrument autonomy. And this is exactly where the governor should be allowed. The governor says, I see this is an issue, and I want to address this issue. Let me tell you, what the governor is trying to do is to make sure that the numbers are reduced. We have consolidation. The demand, the hemorrhage, it's not sustainable. The results cannot sustain it. And so governor says, look, what's the best way to do this? And so he's hiked up the capital base. It happened with banks.
Well, anyway, going forward, now two institutions have come into focus here now, the CBN and the House of Representatives. What would you be saying to both of them so that we can actually forge ahead, leaving this whole seemingly imbroglio that this might spring up? Well,
I'll say to the House, the central bank governor has a responsibility to this country, and he should be allowed. He has to discharge that responsibility. The House, it has oversight function, and they want to make sure that things are being done appropriately. But I think that beyond, the governor going to the House and then probably explaining what he's trying to do, he should be allowed to carry on with the responsibility he has been given, by the country.
Well, Dr. Boniface Chase, I would like to thank you so very much for spending time with us on the news at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Well, in other business news, the Naira depreciated against the dollar by 1 Naira 50 kobo at the Bureau de Change market. The Naira was traded at 166 Naira 50 kobo as against 165 Naira, which it traded on June 23rd at the market. At the official market, the currency was sold at 155 Naira 23 kobo to the dollar, an amount it maintained since June the 23rd. Similarly, it dropped by 8 Naira against the pound sterling at the BDC market, selling at 288 Naira, down from 280 Naira it recorded on Monday. The currency depreciated in transactions at the official market, recording 24 kobo loss against pound sterling, as it was sold for 264 Naira 36 kobo instead of 264 Naira 12 kobo. It was traded on Monday. At the black market, Naira was traded against the pound sterling the same amount it was sold at the BDC market. Against the euro at the Bureau de Change, Naira was sold at 235 Naira from 224 Naira it was sold on Monday. Similarly, at the official market, it exchanged at 211 Naira 43 kobo against the euro, compared with 211 Naira 26 kobo it was sold on Friday. Now, interbank lending rates eased to an average of 10.25% on Friday, down from 10.37% last week, after a liquidity boost from government revenue dispersers and cash calls for joint venture oil production. According to traders, the cash balance held by banks at the central bank rose to about 433.2 billion on Friday, up from 297 billion naira last week. Dealers say lending rates among banks have reached a floor, noting they do not see rates falling further despite the liquidity boost to the banking system due to the cap on the central bank's benchmark deposit rate. The open buyback was unchanged at 10.25%, 1.75% points below the central bank's benchmark interest rates of 12%. Overnight placement fell to 10.25% from 10.5% last week. Next on the news at 10, host Brazil book quarterfinal spot at the FIFA World Cup. That's in sports news.